Hey everybody, so quick update on the geometry I'm looking at so far in the Great Pyramid. There's something interesting I'm finding in these patterns. When we create the fruit of life, which only contains 5 circles, there's 4 and then there's 1 in the middle, right? And when we turn that, we have to turn it 60 degrees so that all the circles, so that there's 6 circles around 1 in the middle, and they're packed evenly, okay? And the interesting thing about circles are, if you put down a coin, for example, on your table, the most number of circles you're going to be able to fit around that coin evenly is 6. That's just the way that the geometry works out. This is part of the whole idea about circle packing that science is looking at right now. But when you extend out to 12, you'll notice that, well, I'm not on this particular image, but you'll notice that as you start getting past 6, there's a small space in between the circles that you see right here. And that is necessary because what I tried doing was I tried turning the thing to where there was no gap at all when I went out to 12. And what happened is that you couldn't fit an even number of circles all the way around. In other words, you could fit 12.4 or something like that, so it didn't work out right. Also, they wouldn't shrink either and stay to where they were able to be packed as they got smaller and smaller and smaller. So there's something to the space that you see between these circles, okay? So I decided to take this one step further, and I decided to go ahead and do 24. 24 is the next step where if you're turning that row of circles, so maybe you're starting to see a pattern here. You have 6, then you have 12, number of hours in a day, then you have 24. So it's kind of interesting the way that this is or 12 hours is half a day, and then of course 24 hours is how many hours you have in a day. But this whole idea of 6, 12, 24, and then the next will probably be 48. But there's something really interesting about all of this. But when you take a look at the circle packing, here's what I found that's interesting about the rings this time. So when you put the rings on, remember the rings they go through the middle of each ring of circles, okay? So this time there's 24 circles, and I decided to go ahead and pack these and see what happened. So the rings produce something really interesting with the pyramid this time. If we put the pyramid on real quick, you'll notice this time, so I said, how many rings can I put in there before I step on the original size of this circle, which was 500 pixels? And so if I put any more than 10, then it would work its way into the original circle size. So when I get down to this size right here, the next ring would have been smaller than the original size circle. I don't know what that means, but these are all things I'm finding that are kind of interesting. So you can't actually use the original size circle. You have to use the rings when you're doing this, because I tried to shrink the pyramid down to the actual original size of the circles that you find on the outside, and it didn't work, but it works on these rings. That's what's really interesting. But at each octave of the ring that you see here, what's different this time is that if you notice, the pyramid is still encapsulating this ring right here, right? And you see that the capstone is still cut off at this ring, but now the corners of the pyramid now touch this next ring. So the capstone protrudes into this ring, and the corners then you see down here protrude into the next ring. And the subchamber rests at the bottom of each of one of these circles every time. So let's take this pyramid to the next octave here. So we're just going to grow this thing here until it reaches the next one. There's a lot of things that have to be in place for this geometry to work, and that's how I know that there's something to this. Okay, notice we just about encompass the whole circle here. Make sure we're right in the center. And look, here we go. So we have the circle now. If we zoom in, we can see that the circle is now encased inside the pyramid. The capstone is now protruding into this particular circle. And the corners now touch this, and the subchamber is resting at the bottom of this circle. And I haven't checked it yet, but I'm pretty sure that I'm right here. This ring that you see here would be in the middle, because this is where the moon fits, right? The moon fits in between here. So that would cut through the middle of the orbit of the moon. Which means, I bet, that if we were to square one of these circles here, that square would go right through that same line. So anyways, I wanted to show you kind of the harmony that you see with this geometry here and all these circle packings, and what the rings are actually showing with regards to the Great Pyramid. There's a lot of things that have to be in line here for this to work at every octave like this. And so what you're seeing here is some interesting geometry that's being shown every time. The capstone, both the corners, the subchamber, the pyramid, and totally encircling this ring, all of these things being right on the money like this every time, are showing us something really interesting about this geometry. So, just an update, so I'll keep you guys posted. Y'all take care. Talk to you soon.